Alrighty, we're back. I think this is the fourth week of Vault, fifth week, going into the fifth week of the season. I have a few tanks to open up. I have both my Brewmasters. I have my Prot Paladin and my Prot Warrior, which I will be opening up all the vaults on today, talking about the decisions that I make. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The Protection Paladin is a spec that I have been slowly working on. I last played it seriously in season 1, where I didn't push for title, but like I did high keys on it. I ended up getting title on my Brewmaster instead in season 1, but the Protection Paladin is a class that didn't feel all that great to play in season 2, if I'm being honest. I like Templar, but it felt very susceptible to dying all the time. So I ended up kind of letting it rot a little bit, but over the last like week or two I've been doing a little bit of gearing on it. While I do have some like lower items, like just the regular crafted gear, some last season stuff. You can even see that I didn't play during Turbo Boost because my crafted gear from last season is 675. I have been doing a little bit of raiding on it. I've done M0 tours. I've started to do like my weekly plus 10 keys. It's clearly you can clearly tell this is an alt, but it is a class that seems to be a lot stronger this season, for obvious reasons, mostly because it has infinite kicks, it has a great toolkit, and its survivability is through the roof. It's playing Lightsmith again, so it also has some better group utility compared to Templar. So yeah, we are going to open this up as Prot. I believe last week I killed a handful of heroic bosses, and I also did my my Mythic Vault. I just realized that vaults aren't technically up in for another fucking 10 minutes. So yeah, we'll come back to this. 10 minutes later, we can now open up our vault. So let's see what we get on our Paladin. Actually, wait, let me double check. Protection spec. All right, cool. So I'm really just hoping for a decent mythic slot. I only did 2 dungeons last week, so it looks like we pulled a couple of items here. So yeah, Codex of First Techniques. This is a stamina trinket that reflects a portion of incoming damage back at the attacker. We're gonna look into how good this trinket is in a second. But in terms of heroic, I got the Lumathar shield with crit haste, which is actually not too bad, and it's a pretty big upgrade on what I'm currently wearing. Now, of course, I haven't sent any crafts yet. I still need to farm a lot of my currency for the Gilded Ethereal crest before I start crafting. We also got the one-hitted mace haste mastery. So honestly, like our 2 essentially best in slot items from the raid dropped. Now, of course, these are on heroic. We're aiming for mythic slot items, but I would be okay taking the shield for the time being until I can get something better. Now, we also got a Delve Trinket that also gives just straight up stamina, and then by blocking, parrying, or dodging has a chance to awaken a Gauze, causing it to lash out, dealing big arcane damage split between all enemies. I'm curious to see like what some of these actually look like in terms of damage. So a really good site for trinkets specifically is Blood Mallet. This can give you a pretty good idea on what items are actually good, and it gives kind of benchmarks of like the item level comparisons. So for example, Tome of Light's Devotion is clearly, especially on the Mythic track, all the way is like clearly the best single target trinket. But if we move into like 5 target, you're going to see that Tome actually starts to take kind of like this back seat here. Most of the things that are going to be good in AoE are going to be a lot of these raid trinkets. Nethergate from not Mythic Plus Delves does really well as well, and Curse Stone Idol from Halls of Atonement. But I don't really see this trinket on here from Delves. If it was like really good, you could make an argument to actually run it. I don't even know what it's called. Symbiotic Ether Gauze. I have a feeling it's not going to be very good. I'm looking for like the icon, but I don't even see it on here. Yep, it's not even in here. That's so funny. Now, it is being shown on the Liquid Armory site, and literally, at least according to this, it's pretty much the worst 2 trinkets you can possibly get from the season, which is very cool. It's reassuring. Murloc.io is also another good site. Not that I don't think anyone's going to be running these trinkets, but this also can give you like a decent breakdown of like what the top trinkets are. So we're seeing Brand, Sephorium, obviously the Cheat Death trinket, but we're not seeing Codex being played at all, which makes sense. It's a stamina trinket. They nerfed the trinket pretty heavily since its Shado-pan counterpart. So while it would be nice to take a Mythic Track Codex, I just don't think it's worth taking at all. So we're probably going to end up just going with the shield, because my plan is to craft a main hand first, and then I'm going to craft maybe some off pieces before I craft a shield. So I'm going to take the shield for now. Now, once I start doing more keys, hopefully we'll start getting some more mythic loot, but I think the shield is going to be generally a pretty good play here. So this is going to actually be a pretty big week for my Paladin for a lot of reasons. First off, we just got a shield, which will be a massive upgrade over our current one, almost like 25, 26 item levels. I just hit 60 crests last night, so I'm now able to craft my first weapon, or I guess craft of the season, which I have 1 spark here, and I have 3 seasoned, 3 fractured spark of starlight here. So I can make another one actually right now, which I'll go ahead and do. And this is not a craft week. So last week we were at 6 sparks. You can check this in your currency tab. Right now we have access to 7. So I'll get 1 from just doing weekly stuff. So doing like some keys or delves or whatever. And then my last fragment I'm going to get from doing like one of the weekly quests. Pretty easy. This week though is a catalyst week. So me personally, I can actually slam this heroic chest in here. It's going to give me haste and crit, which are my 2 best stats, and it's going to complete my 4 sets. So I'm going to actually send that right now. So if you are someone who has not gotten AOTC yet, or you're starting a new character, you should now have, if I'm not mistaken, you should have 4 catalyst charges, and then you'll get a 5th one from getting AOTC or KSM. So pretty much if you've been super unlucky, or you just are starting a new character, you should now be able to get your 4 set this week without too much resistance. Obviously, you need to farm gear from this current season that's upgradable in that slot, but if you do that, you're gonna be able to create your 4 set. So now I have my 4 set here, so I'm excited to play with that this week. But that is pretty much my Paladin. I'm gonna end up crafting and upgrading some of the stuff off stream. So I will, let's jump over to our Protection Warrior. My Prot Warrior didn't do much last week. I don't believe I actually ended up getting any raid kills. I ended up just mostly I raided on my Paladin and my Monks last week. So I'm pretty much looking at like 2 mythic slots. Now my Prot Warrior is pretty geared. I did not actually do a lot of keys last week, so I have a close to, if not a little over 100 more crests to farm. So I'm going to be able to shoot up a bit here probably this week once I farm some keys. I might be doing it on stream later today or later this week, but we're going to make sure we're opening this up as protection. The one thing that I've been heavily considering for this character is actually not re-rolling, but speccing into Fury Warrior. Unfortunate. I might be going Fury Warrior because it just looks really fun right now. The changes to Slayer. Slayer is not something that I've never played before. I mostly played Thane. So I'm interested in trying that out and just like DPSing a bit. And right now I'm not really liking Thane Warrior, Prot Warrior that is. It's just not very satisfying to me. Anyways, we looted a Mythic Track weapon with crit haste on it, which, don't get me wrong, is really good. But the problem with this is that I have a crafted piece with Ascendance on it. I also looted crit versus Mythic Bracers, and while, yeah, they're Mythic Track, I actually have Mythic Track Bracers in my bag. I'm currently not wearing them because I didn't have crest to upgrade them when I did loot them. So I have heroic ones that are maxed out with the socket, but I have the same one on, Mythic item level or Mythic Track. So I don't need either of these 2 items. So I could take coins, which would give me either gold or like a future socket, but it's not enough to buy a socket this week. And it's going to offset me by like 2. So I think what I'm going to actually end up doing is, for pure item level, I'm going to actually take the weapon. And then by upgrading this weapon, I can actually get it higher than this craft. And what this does is, in future weeks, it opens up the potential of crafting something, or not craft. Well, it opens up the potential of being able to craft a different item to give me a different embellishment outside of Ascendance. Ascendance is great and all, but there are also good embellishments out there. So I think that's going to be the play here. Bracers are definitely not it. In the future, I need to make sure that I'm farming a couple of more things. Especially in future weeks, I might try to get more mythic raid kills. I've killed Lumathar only on this character, but I think like this week I might try to kill like 2 bosses instead, so I get at least another mythic slot there. Because there's some pretty good items from some of the earlier bosses in the raid. Alright, so we're going to be pretty much holding on to that. There isn't much else I can do on this character. Because I have an extra catalyst spark now, or extra catalyst charge I should say, I could start looking into converting higher pieces. So for example, I still have champion helm. So if I farm a helm at some point, I can then turn that into tier, which then I can get up to 710 instead of that shitty little 704 track. But yeah, outside of that, that's pretty much all we can really do on the warrior. Not much to it. We're going to get back to farming, and we're going to hopefully get this guy up to like 713, 714 this week by farming and getting more crests. Okay, we have our Alt Brewmaster. This is a character that I've been playing a fair bit. whenever I am doing like alt keys with either guildies, whether it's hard mode, whether it's like heroic farm, I've been playing this whenever I feel like my main is capped for the week. So if I've done all the keys on my main and I have some people who are like, hey, let's run this 12 or this 14 or whatever, I've been playing this character. I also like to keep this character as specifically a Master of Harmony monk, so even if we are going into a Gambit or a Priory or whatever it might be, I stay as Master of Harmony, which is kind of nice because it's giving me that other side perspective. I also have a different trinket setup on this character than I do on my main. I'm currently wearing the same trinkets, but I have access to Tome, I have access to Cosmic Sigil, and I have some other Mythic Track loot that I've been sitting on. For example, I have gloves already on this character that I want to catalyze, but I've been waiting to go from basically the champion track up to the mythic track because I've been using my catalyst charges on other items. For example, I got Lake last week. I also have a mythic track chest. So this character is actually kind of getting loaded with tier. In terms of what I'm hoping for, again, just mythic track items. I think I only did keys on this character last week. I don't think I raid. So let's see what we get. Damn. Okay. So we have boots, sail carver, and shoulders. So a couple of options here. Now we don't have access to another one-handed weapon, and I currently have Harvester's Interdiction. Interdiction obviously is best in slot for a lot of reasons. It has basically really good stats on it for the Brewmaster, and on top of that, we don't lose any stats for having the additional damage. So it's basically free damage on this weapon. This will be best in slot, ideally on Mythic Track, but for right now we have it on Hero. I also don't have access to another craft this week. What I could do, this is my initial thought by looking at this. Oh, by the way, I also have hero track gear, but I'm probably going to ignore this because I don't care for it. So the option is that I could take Sail Carver. This is very good. This is a very good dungeon single-handed weapon. There's also some other options from specifically dungeons that can be strong. So if you're looking to dual wield versus using a polearm, one, you can craft if you have access to a craft. Or you can farm, obviously, Dawnbreaker, which is where Sail Carver's from. Or you can go Priory, which is where the Starforged Seraph's Mace is from, which has crit inverse as well. There's some other one-handed weapons that has like crit mastery on it from Arakara. We also have, I believe, Halls has one as well. It has a mace that's crit mastery. So there's actually some pretty decent one-handed weapons in terms of stats. But I think crafting would end up being the play there. Getting a mythic track weapon is obviously extremely valuable. The boots are also good, but the problem with the boots is that, well, the raid boots exist. And eventually, hopefully, I'm going to be able to access those at some point on this character. I don't know if they're going to be able to be bought with Dinar. That would be pretty nice. But I'm assuming that my guild, as long as we keep killing this boss, I'm eventually going to be able to bring my monk, or this monk specifically, and get those boots. Now, alternatively, I could catalyze those mythic boots, and I can get high haste crit. The ones in my vault are currently high haste mastery. So are those even good boots to wear? Probably not. The best boots that you can get are going to be obviously from the raid, but if you don't do that, it's like crafted boots. For the most part, there's a couple of like crit mastery boots and verse mastery boots, but I think what I'm going to end up doing here, I mean, another option is that I could take shoulders, but the problem is I already have hands that I want to catalyze. So taking these, I'm going to sit on them, basically, for a couple of weeks. I think I kind of want to mix it up and grab the weapon. Now, I'm not going to be able to use this right away, which will be unfortunate, but eventually I'll be able to craft a one-handed weapon as well, which will be pretty nice. I just don't see myself using these in the ever. And these I would probably catalyze, but not for another 2 weeks, where I could loot Mythic Track Shoulders in the next 2 weeks, which then it will be a waste. Or at least the Sail Carver I can at least experiment with and play around with different weapon options. Also, there's also the alternative where, not even an alternative, there's just the possibility that I'm never ever going to see a Harvester's Interdiction on Mythic Track. And so having a Mythic Track weapon with best in slot stats, I don't really want to pass this up. So we're going to end up taking this out of our vault. Again, we're going to sit on it for a little bit until we can at least farm a one-handed weapon. I might even have a one-handed weapon somewhere. Maybe from, yeah, I'm sure I have a hero track somewhere. And then I'm going to be able to catalyze these gloves, turning them into mythic tier up from champion tier, which is obviously pretty good. So we're going to slam these in here. Crit mastery, bada bing, bada boom. So that's a small upgrade, and then obviously we're going to be able to farm crests and stuff this week. So All right, last but not least, we have our main Brewmaster. Now, I killed 5 mythic bosses this week. I did a ton of keys, and I did, I think, like a delve or a world quest or something. I don't know. So we have a lot to potentially to choose from here. Gonna make sure we're in Brewmaster spec. The big thing that I'd like to see, and this would be pretty rare, Harvester's Interdiction on Mythic Track or a Tome of Light's Devotion are like the 2 items that I'm kind of chasing after. I feel like most of the rest of my gear is pretty good. Boots from the Soul Hunters boss would also be nice. Any of those items would be good, but we'll see. Okay. Literally nothing that I want, but that's okay. We have bracers. And the problem with bracers is we have rune branded armbands with our Nerubian embellishment, so these are pretty much an instant no-go. They also have haste on them, which ideally you don't really want. We also got Logic Gate Alpha. Now this is a ring that is very powerful, specifically for raid. But if you notice my stats right now, I'm at 40% crit. Now, of course, this is with a flask on, and I also have 30% verse. So honestly, probably not the best ring to take, but I'll come back to that. We also have a heroic track weapon. Not gonna take it. It's hero track. We have 5 mythic options, so chances are we're gonna take a mythic piece. I also have mythic track hands, and similar to my other monk, I could technically take those. And I have a mythic chest here that I got from my hard mode run last week that I can catalyze to replace my current mythic chest. We also got Crit Mastery Pants, which are the same ones that I currently have on Mythic Track as well. And then last, we have this Crit Haste Ring. Now, if I was going to choose between this ring and Logic Gate Alpha, I would take this with the Mastery instead of the Haste. This is just way more crit with a better stat versus the Haste. And then lastly, we have a Veteran Track chest. No way in hell I'm taking that. So let's walk through our options here. So bracers are a no-go. This ring also a no-go because I'm going to be focusing on Logic Gate Alpha. Now, one of my rings is crafted, and it's crafted with critical strike and versatility on it. Now, what I could do is I could recraft this ring, drop the crit, and take mastery on this as well, which would actually fix my stats a little bit because this ring that I currently have on, the High Nerubian Signet, has high verse and low mastery. So I would gain 1500 mastery, which would bump me up into a more adequate range. I think my mastery is a little low for where I want it to be, and especially like Mythic Plus, I want my mastery to be a little bit higher than it is. But if I take Logic Gate Alpha, that's going to give me copious amounts of crit. So if I take this ring off, my crit is only at 1500, but then I would be at 22k, which means that I would actually be able to verse flask, which would be super nice. And then I would have a little bit more mastery and a little less verse. So my verse would go down probably into the realm of like 27%, which I think could be pretty good. And then I could also regem for versatility if I really want to bump it up. I can also use a verse flask, or I can use a mastery flask. My only concern about taking that item, specifically this ring, is that in an ideal circumstance, I'd probably want High Nerubian Signet on Mythic Track instead, or I can always craft a ring next week. Now, Mythic Track gloves are great and all, but I do have Hero Track gloves available, so I don't necessarily, I'm not like a rush. Like, while it looks like I would be replacing Champion right away, I do have the Hero Track version already in my bags. And I also technically have Mythic Track legs. Now, they're not great. They are the tier version of it. But if I really need like the pure item level, I have this available. So I'm not sold on the pants. I can also look at potential drops. So assuming that we actually complete our hard mode has the potential to drop, gloves that I can catalyze. It has the potential to drop pants as well. And the thing about the pants from here is that they're actually good. They're high crit with versatility on them. So hard mode is still on the table this week. Chances are I could still kill Plexus Sentinel as well. The weapon from the boss isn't terrible either. It gives crit mastery. But the thing is that it also drops the ring. Now, I don't know how many people actually want this ring on my raid team, so chances are I might not even get it. But it would save me the most amount of crests getting Logic Gate Alpha at 714. It would save me actually 2 crests, or 30 crests basically, because I currently have a 707 ring on. And while it doesn't give main stat like some of my other pieces, I don't know how much I care about that right now. Because if I'm able to save crests here, I don't mind spending extra crests to upgrade other items. Like my pants that I have on are already 710, so I'm not saving crests with the pants. I don't have higher gloves, but Soulbinder drops Mythic Zenith gloves, which again, I could potentially get this week as a chance. So if I'm trying to make a decision right now, I think based on my current potential gearing upgrades that I could get, I would say that Logic Gate Alpha would not only save me the most crests, but would be the biggest direct upgrade, and then I would recraft my Ring of Earth and Craftsmanship instead. And then my remaining crests that I will have this week, the 90 that I'm going to be getting, I'm probably going to utilize upgrading my main hand and then some of my additional pieces. I'm then going to catalyze my chest, giving me a Mythic Track item there, and we should be all set. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing here. Even though the gloves would also save me a few crests, but ultimately I know it won't matter. So we're going to go with Logic Gate Alpha. Also just a dope ring name, so I'm not even going to complain. Bam! Alright, it's done. No take backsies. What's nice though is like, honestly, oh my god, that's so much crit. I'm not even flasked. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe it's too much. It's too much power. I actually think that's fucking sick though. Okay, we're gonna have to figure this out, actually. that might have been a mistake. Okay, wait, we can figure this out. We're smart-ish, kind of. I believe it's of Harmonious Verse Mastery. We'll grab one of these bad Larrys. Bang, ow, boom, recraft, ring. Change this to Verse Mass. We're gonna go Guild Order, max. We'll tip 5 gold. Bang, bomb, boom. Start order. Finishing reagent. Bang. I'm so glad I leveled up all my professions. Well, most professions. It's so convenient just being able to make my own. I should tip myself more, though. So this is basically fixing... well, let's see. This should fix my mastery problem. And like I said, my crit's now down to like a decent level. So we can throw this on. This brings my verse, it's still at like 23 with my mastery at 23. Now what I can do as well is I can recraft, or actually not recraft, I can buy some gems and enchants that should bolster up this. So why did these things go up so much in price lately? What happened? They used to be like 5 gold, I swear. So we'll add 2 of these. Yep. I should have just bought these right away. And then what we want is we want gems, multiple stats, search. We want high verse, low mass, the Masterful Sapphire. And I want 1, 2, 3. 3 of those. Oh, wait, hold up. And then I want to go armor, no, item enchantments, finger. If we go cursed verse, it should sap a little bit of my mastery. And then what we want is we go legs, stormbound armor kit. And now this, ooh, I almost put that on the wrong fucking, go like that. We'll come to our neck. We can replace our neck crit. That brings it down to 40. Oh, we're looking so good. So I'm a little bit of above DR still, but I'm kind of fine with that. We go 1 gem, 2 gems, cursed verse, so now I'm up to 24. And then we slam this armor kit on our tier pants. Actually, this, never mind. For some reason, I thought they said verse on them, because that's going to lower my mastery probably too much. Why was I thinking these were haste verse? Oh, I'm thinking of Dimensius pants, right? Or Saladar pants. Yeah, haste verse. Okay. Well, now I can flask verse instead, and my verse is at like 27, which I think is fine. So I'm a little bit more content with this. I want pants with versatility on them now, so I think heroic re-clear. Hopefully if these pants drop, that's great. If not, it's not a big deal. Also, the pants from Tazavesh. These pants here would also be adequate because they have versatility on them. So that's the plan. Maybe I messed up by taking this ring, but also then in the future, I could technically like figure out a different necklace to use or something. So, oh, wait, I forgot the fiber. That's it. We did it. I always forget about this stupid fiber. We can go dexterous fiber instead. Instead of getting crit, we can try to get... You know what's funny is I think I just did a full fucking roundabout. Like, I'm flipping all of these stats for no reason outside of the fact that it makes me feel like I'm smart and I'm doing something. And what I'm doing is literally trying to replace one ring with another, and then I'm spending all this gold to get different enchants on. Like, this is fake. Why am I doing what I'm doing? I could have just taken the gloves and I could have been happy. But instead, I'm spending all of this time and energy doing this for what? For what? What am I doing this for? I don't even know. For a crest save of like 2. The funniest part, I swear we're gonna kill the boss this week, and it's going to drop like 2 of the rings, and everyone's gonna pass on it, and then I'm gonna feel like an idiot because I took the ring from my vault thinking that like everyone wanted it, and it doesn't even matter. Literally for like nothing. All right, we're replacing our fiber. Bang! And now our stats are literally exactly what they were before we started, outside of the fact that I have a little bit more mastery. Holy shit. I just spent like 15k gold in like 20 minutes doing that. That's crazy. So yeah, that's it. That's it from your boy. So this week, yeah, you have an extra catalyst charge. And if you do any recrafting, always remember you have a tradable cloak item that can change your stats 2k almost in any direction. So yeah. The last thing I'm going to mention that I might end up doing a video about, they nerfed Halls of Atonement count. So whatever you were doing in here, be a little careful. And when I say careful, like basically you should just know that they adjusted the enemy forces that you need in here. They reduced it by like 10%, and they increased the count that these mobs give by 50%. So they're now giving 15 forces, which will be close to like 2.5% instead of, or I guess almost 3% instead of the almost 2% that they're giving now. So keep that in mind, I guess. So hauls should hopefully be easier in the future. So good luck in your vaults, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.